back, and time is not of the essence. I am here with Ian Parker of the PFL. Ian, I know you're getting ready for this PFL card going down tonight, but we've got some UFC tomorrow to look forward to. Are you excited?
Listen, PFL, UFC, what else can you ask for, right?
I don't know how you do it, Ian. And all I ask of you is that you give me your picks in under 15 minutes. Since UFC Vegas 35 combat coach, I'm Cody Merrow. We've got 12 bouts here coming up, 24 fighters scheduled. First two, Maina Martinez minus 275 versus Guido CANNETTI plus 220. Ian, how do you see it playing out?
I like Martinez here. He is the way better striker. CANNETTI just doesn't seem to have it anywhere, in my opinion, in this fight. Martinez is a really nice prospect. Keep your eye out for him. Look for him to get the win.
To get the win there from Ian Parker. Swift, that's like a way we like to do it, Ian. Keep those feathers flying. JAMALL EMMERS minus 150 versus Pat Sabatini plus 130. Ian, how does this go down?
Hate to go back-to-back favorites here as much as everyone likes to talk about that. I like JAMALL EMMERS here. Look, I think Sabatini is a good prospect. He out-hustled, out-wrestled Tristan Connolly in his last fight. He doesn't really possess that TKO power, which I think will give EMMERS a lot more confidence. And I just think EMMERS is the better athlete and just one step ahead of Sabatini at this point in their career. So I'm going to go EMMERS.
Well, and we don't hate the favorites, Ian, because, you know, I love sitting down for a card. You parlay the first couple fights. You get some house money going. I know you love that heading into a main card. We're going to try and keep it going here with JJ Aldrich, minus 410, prohibitive favorite versus Vanessa Demopoulos, plus 310. I think I got that right. Ian, I don't need you to say the pronunciations right, but I do need a pick.
Yeah, I like Aldrich here. You know, even if you strip away the odds, I just think the level of competition she's fought, you know, Vanessa being 6-3, not fighting the same competition as JJ beating Courtney Casey, which was a very impressive win. She's really evolved tremendously over her course so far in the UFC, but minus 410 is a lot. Parlay, or maybe even take it that she gets a finish. I think she has the ability to do that in this fight.
Huge there. Huge from Ian Parker. Minus 410. You got to be smart when you're betting something like that, add it into a parlay, but Ian likes that play there for Aldrich. Next up, Dustin JACOBY minus 180 versus Darren the Dentist Stewart plus 155. Ian, how do you see it playing out for the dentist?
You know, I really don't like Darren Stewart at this weight class. I think he really belongs at 85. Maybe the cut's getting too much. I don't know. But we saw that last fight against Eric Anders that the power just wasn't there. The muscle, the strength, you know, against a guy in Anders, which I think skill-wise, he probably is overall better than. And JACOBY is pretty big for this weight class, and he's also going to be the more elite striker. Grapple-wise, I think Stewart can put him on his back, but I just don't see JACOBY being kept there, you know? So I like JACOBY here at minus 180.
Well, in such an interesting division, as you said, Eric Anders, 185. He's on the very large side. He fought at 205. Izzy Adesanya, 185. Very skinny, very slender. Uriah Hall, skinny, slender. Like 185 is very odd when it comes to the body styles and the matchups there and how they play out. So I think you're right there to talk about Darren Stewart. Maybe not at the right weight class here. And another weight class jumper, Sam Alvey, Smiling Sam, as I like to call him, plus 110 versus Wellington TURMAN, minus 130. That is the easiest Brazilian name that you're ever going to have in UFC. But Ian, do we like minus 130 here?
This one's really, really tough. I think this fight just does not go the distance is where I'm going to go with in this fight. Here's the deal. Sam Alvey can lose 1,000 fights. The UFC will never cut him because he's in a division that lacks depth, and he puts on exciting fights. And a guy in TURMAN who's actually excellent on the ground, for some reason, likes to strike. Typical Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, got a couple of TKOs, forgot how to grapple. If I'm Wellington TURMAN, I take this fight to the ground immediately, where there'll be a huge advantage in submission skills. If the fight stands, I think Alvey knocks him out. So for this fight, it does not go the distance. That's the play we're going with here.
That is the play for Ian Parker. And I just want to be as happy as Sam Alvey when I work. If I can be as happy as Sam Alvey walking to the octagon and getting a fist fight, then I will be a happy man. So I'm going to try and take Ian's picks and be happy walking away from the pay window.
There you go.
Next, ALESSIO CHIRICO minus 240 versus ABDUL ALHASSAN plus 185. Ooh, that was a mouthful, Ian. I'm not going to give you bonus points there for spelling. How do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, you know what? ALHASSAN, if this was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would have taken him when he was really that prospect we were all looking for. Since he's come back, just doesn't seem to have that same – he's got the killer instinct. He throws with bad intentions, but he doesn't throw combinations. He throws one punch with power, and he gasses out very quickly. The CHIRICO, everyone's going to know him for his win over Buckley, you know, but this is a guy who actually is a very good striker. He is pretty well-rounded. Do I think ALHASSAN could win this fight? If he worked on his cardio, if this is the guy from 5 years ago at this point, I don't think he's that guy. I think the CHIRICO wins this fight purely on volume and cardio alone. So we're going to go with the CHIRICO.
Well, and a veteran like yourself would, of course, agree with this. There's a lot of things going on in your life. It's hard to focus on becoming a good fighter. You kind of have to have all these things working together. ABDUL ALHASSAN's had a lot of distractions. Those things do play a huge factor when it comes to UFC and fighting in MMA. Coming up next, Mahmoud Muradov minus 630 versus GM3 Gerald Meerschaert plus 450. Ian, I'm a GM3 homer, but how do you see this playing out for the bettors?
Yeah, me too. Listen, we both know Gerald on a more personal standpoint. Listen, this is a guy who's excellent on the ground. He's been around for a while. I don't know what, I keep making jokes about this. I really don't know what he's done to the UFC to get a win and then fight an international prospect who's absolutely a beast. And Muradov, the play here, I believe, is that he also wins inside the distance. I don't think it goes the full 3 rounds. So Muradov by TKO, KO, or submission, I believe, is minus 190 at Caesar Sportsbook or MGM. I think even DraftKings has it. So if you could find that play inside the distance, Muradov getting the win, that's where you go with on this one.
There it is, Ian Parker telling you how it goes down and where to find the best odds. That's what we do here on Combat Coach. And we're moving on swiftly. This isn't just the UFC card, Ian. This is the Tough 29 finale. As you remember, they used to do Tough a little differently. They'd have their own show, maybe a little small feeder thing. This is not that, but these guys are coming up from the Tough 29. I don't know how much of that you were able to catch on ESPN Plus. Andre Petroski minus 525 versus Michael Gilmore plus 385. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, Petrosky is the way better fighter here. You usually don't see odds like this in the Ultimate Fighter show. You really don't. Even when it was Uriah Hall versus Kelvin Gastelum, the odds were not like this. Petrosky should win this fight. He is better everywhere. This is a guy who I do think is UFC ready. Coming off a Tough, a lot of guys, sometimes they're still not there. This is a guy who is minus 525 is a lot. Parlay him with a few others, try to get some value out of that, but Petrosky gets the win here.
Well, on this next one, Ian, I know we've gone back and forth since our picks on Monday. Kevin Lee minus 145 versus Daniel Rodriguez plus 125. The odds have moved a little bit there, but Daniel Rodriguez still the underdog. How do you see it playing out?
I like D-Rod here. I really do. So, with Kevin Lee, this is a guy that wrestling first, striking second. For whatever reason, he's gone the opposite. And where he was successful was when he implemented his wrestling, when it became dangerous and it was threatening. So then his striking was able to become also threatening and I think more damaging. And a guy in Daniel, and also he's coming back to 170, which I don't think size advantage will help him anymore, maybe speed, but a guy like Daniel Rodriguez, his evolution in his game, his improvements he's made have been tremendous. I don't think he's fought someone skill-wise yet as good as Kevin Lee, but this is a guy that if he could defend the takedowns, I think he actually would be the more, we're going to say technical boxer. I think his precision's there. And I think this is a guy at plus 125. Very good value. I'm going to take a shot on Rodriguez here.
Wow. And I mean, it makes you wonder just how good is Daniel Rodriguez, huh?
We're going to find out.
We are going to find out this Saturday, going down at the UFC Apex Arena, August 28th, UFC Vegas 35, Barboza versus Chikadze. Next up on the card, Ricky Turcios minus 150 versus Brady HIESTAND plus 130. Very close odds there. Ian, make it a little easier for me.
Yeah, listen, when guys are betting the Ultimate Fighter show, if you really haven't paid attention, and sometimes it's really hard because these guys are also, the way it used to be, and I'll keep this brief, was guys that were even in the UFC or professional fighters for a long time made it on the Ultimate Fighter. Now this is becoming a true, you can call blue chip prospect, almost like Contender Series. It's like you got one of the two options, right? I think he saves the more experienced fighters maybe for the Contender Series, tries to build it through here or vice versa, whatever. Between these two, I would take a shot on Turcios if you're going to bet it. I believe that his chin will hold up. If they keep this fight standing, I just think that this guy, striking wise, there's something about him, the mental toughness, the way he speaks. Not that I like to bet on the way guys, hold themselves accountable in the cage, but this is a guy that keeps coming forward. The pace that he sets is really challenging, especially when it comes to striking in a very small pocket. So I like Turcios here.
Turcios there, the pick click for Ian Parker at minus 150. The next one up, Brian Battle minus 170 versus Gilbert Urbina plus 150. Ian, this was supposed to be the tough finale matchup between the two best fighters on the show. Unfortunately, one of the fighters had to pull out a really bad knee injury, I believe it was what it was. He's going to be coming back, of course, but this is the fight that we are having on Saturday. How do you see it playing out?
All right, so believe it or not, this is going to be the one that will tell you to stay away from, and here's why. All right, so Brian Battle, everyone that I've seen online likes this fight. They want to take him because of his submission skills, but Urbina's got submission skills too, and I think everyone's basing a little too much on Urbina getting knocked out by Gore, who was supposed to fight Battle. But if you watch this last fight with Battle, go back and watch it. He wasn't winning. He was getting out-wrestled, out-grappled. He was getting pushed against the cage. Literally, I think his opponent just got tired and then he locked onto it. It was either a front headlock or a Darce choke, and he got the win. You know, to me, getting one submission attempt of a guy gassing doesn't show me the overall skills. I think Urbina will be the better striker here, but for me, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Urbina pulled this off, but I just think these guys are both very green. I don't think either one of them are ready for the UFC yet. So I would sit back and watch this fight and kind of stay away from just me personally on this one.
Well, and I think it's an interesting aside, and not to have, you know, any outlandish statements, but it's interesting to see how fighters approach the tough fights versus how they approach the Contender Series fights, because a lot of tough fights go to decision. They're very safe. They're much more submission and grappling oriented. Contender Series, much more striking, much more action oriented. So it's interesting to kind of see the two dualities there. And I wonder what we're going to see on Saturday.
But here's the thing, and you bring up a good point. The reason though, is that when you're on the Contender Series, you get one shot to show Dana. You don't really have to worry about injuries. You don't have to worry about who you're fighting next. On the Ultimate Fighter Series, you got to stay healthy. You know, it doesn't matter if you show off to Dana or you land something insane.
Right.
Honestly, if you ask a lot of fighters about their time on there, that first fight, they literally tried to grind and wrestle and not get hit, because look, even if you win and then you get injured, you will get a chance to go back into the UFC, but you have no chance on winning the show. So it's a little bit of a different strategy, let's call it. But yes, you bring up a very good point that it is different how they approach it.
Well, and a lot of guys change weights too. So this being short notice, he had a lot of time to kind of prepare for the fight at the right weight class. Like, there's a lot of different factors that go in, and that's why we have an expert like you to help us break it down. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
why we need you to help us break down the main event. Edson Barboza -125 versus Giga Chikadze +105. Ian, two absolutely salacious strikers heading into the octagon. Is this a situation where two strikers, it's going to be a wrestling bout, or what are we going to see going down this Saturday?
If it's a wrestling bout, it's Barboza, I think, taking Chikadze down. Maybe, you know, look, this one, we've talked and talked and talked. You know, we keep hearing about this matchup. It's exciting. You know, it's a really mirrored image type of fight. Both guys have very similar styles with the striking, calf kicks, body shots. You know, I know you call it the Giga kick where he goes to the liver, but we've seen Barboza end on body shots. Here's the difference, in my opinion, between the two. Outside of experience and level of competition for Barboza, we've seen where the weakness is with Edson. When he gets pressured early and he gets hit a lot, unless he lands something crazy, like against Beneil Dariush, he was losing the striking battle really bad. He landed one flying knee and that was it. But if you look at the fights against Gaethje, you look at the other fights where Barboza was pressured, he loses. Not that he folds per se, but he doesn't handle strikes very well. All right. Even with Dan Ige, pressure. Giga Chikadze has that striking style where he is going to come forward. He may wait a little bit, but look, in this fight, he has to be that pressure guy. He can't wait. Even as good as a striker as he is experienced, he cannot allow Barboza to get those calf kicks or thigh kicks or anything going in that regard. I think Chikadze, if you're going to play this, again, this is a very difficult fight to cap. Some people love Barboza, some people love Chikadze. I'm not really particularly confident on either side at the moment. So here's how we're going to be smart. We talk about education. Coach preaches education, right? If you were up on the night and you're up money, you're playing with house money, can't lose at that point. Sprinkle a little bit on the underdog here in Chikadze. That's what I would do, all right? Or stay away and enjoy this ninja manifest of expertise, okay? Because really, this is a tough one. Either one of these guys, look, people are thinking it's not going to go the full fight, and it also really can, although for the next month, they won't be able to walk. So if you're feeling froggish, you're up money, want to do something, I would say Chikadze. Otherwise, we'll just enjoy this insane striking fest that's going to happen.
Oh, well, we are going to enjoy it, Ian. It is going to be nothing but entertaining, especially when I'm up plus money, because I'm taking Ian picks all the way straight to the pay window. That's it. Combat Coach, we do it in under 15 minutes. That's Ian Parker. I am Cody Merrow. This is Combat Coach, and we're out.